Hi, everybody.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I mean, from the house that COVID built, I think we're all okay, all things considered.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
We have Ryan and Nolan both have COVID.
Oh, how are
Yeah.
they doing? I mean,
Nolan is not so hot. He's little still. He's doing better. We found out Sunday, and then Ryan is okay. He's got a really bad headache and he's kind of achy. But he's quarantined
yeah.
until September 9th. So I'm still clear. I have not tested positive. I've had 2 tests. So I'm still not quarantined. Fingers crossed I stay that way. But yeah, that's why the restaurant's been closed, unfortunately.
So is it just like a bad cold kind of, or?
No, I mean, for Nolan, it's honestly like he never, ever, ever gets sick. So he's miserable. Like he's super achy, has no appetite. He slept all day, Monday and yesterday. We'll see how he's doing. He has been asleep since 8 last night. He's not up yet. Yeah, Ryan said he's just kind of feels like it's a real bad cold, but hopefully, he's definitely isn't having a good time. But hopefully,
yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's hard for you. Hang in there, right? You got to take care of them and everything else.
Oh, yay, it's great. Yeah. So that's what's happening around here. So.
Well, if I can help you in any way, I wish I could,
I really appreciate that. Everyone's being really awesome. People are like, do you need anything? And I'm like, no, we're okay so far. But I really appreciate everyone offering to help.
If you need help at your restaurant or something, I don't know, I could jump in if you ever get desperate,
I really appreciate that. I will let you know. Right now, I think we'll hopefully hear on everyone's tests today, and then we'll know what we're going to do for the weekend. So right now, nobody else is sick, thankfully. It's just Ryan and Nolan. But it probably came from school, unfortunately.
I could make a Jello casserole.
That would be amazing. I would love a Jello casserole.
Perfect.
People just want to leave bottles of gin on my porch. That's fine too. Joking. Or am I?
Or are you? What's your favorite?
I know, right? Just hopefully we just got to get to the 9th and then we'll be good.
Yeah, and Ryan was vaccinated, right? So he
was.
It's a breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a breakthrough case. So
good.
Hopefully he improves. I'm hoping. Yeah. I'm a little concerned we might not have a quorum. I hope we do, because Katie and Kyle are not going to be on. I did talk to Justin. He's been in St. Louis, and so he's working in St. Louis, so he's flying out for a month and then coming home for a weekend. So he was going to do his best to be on, but he wasn't 100% sure he was going to be able to. I do see we have Jamie.
I'm from Chicago. I can vote twice.
Perfect. And I'm not sure who our call-in listener is.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I don't either. I could promote them real quick and we could ask them, or we could ask them to chat and type in the chat.
I want to make sure it's maybe not Justin trying to call in. Could be.
Yeah. I can promote them for a second, and I think they can hear us now. So I'll just do that. We'll promote you.
You need to be promoted.
Okay.
It's Steve. It's Steve.
Okay. Cool.
That would give us our quorum. All right. And there's Justin.
Oh, and there's Justin.
Super. Okay. Hooray. All right. Let me just pull up the agenda. I apologize. I'm a minute behind.
I think you guys can hear me now. It's Steve.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thanks.
All right. It is 8:02 a.m. on Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, and I call this meeting of the Georgetown Business Promotions Commission to order. Can I please get a roll call, Jen?
Hey, Steve Skalski.
Here.
Paul Boat.
Here.
Mary Smith,
Here.
Justin Dowd,
Here.
Kevin Kaharik,
Here.
and Chairman Amanda Cooper.
Here.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for being here this morning. I think the only potential amendment to the agenda would be at the very end in regards to the Alpine hose discussion. There was an update on that. We can leave it on. We'll keep that brief. Are there any other amendments to the agenda or anything else anyone would like to add before I motion for approval?
Yes, I'd like to approach as a, yeah, I would like to talk about an addition to possibly Mountain Jams and to the an event that's happening at Library Park. And then that'll be partially as, I don't know how to do that. It's partially as me as a citizen and partially as me as a commission member.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the second event. Paul, what was it?
It's the same event and it's just how we decided to table it.
Got it. Okay.
Replace
So
it.
in the Mountain Jam. Okay. So
And it might be Mountain Jams. It might end up being something else, but it's happening.
got it. Okay. So we will add a addition of Mountain Jams at the end of the agenda. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Audience business. Members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of concern to the commission. I am looking to see. I know Jamie is already on the agenda, so we don't need to promote her just yet. Is there any other audience business that I'm not seeing or aware of this morning?
I have not heard of any, so I think we're
Okay.
good.
Awesome. Welcome business owners. I don't see
And managers.
and managers. Thank you. I don't see her on this morning, but I did make a stop into the new metaphysical store on 6th and invited Brianna on. If you haven't made it in, it's a really fun store. They've got a lot of cool things. The candles are beautiful. And it's definitely a welcome addition to 6th Street. Are there any other new businesses that have shown up in town that we need to welcome? All right, moving on. First item agenda, new and from under our new and unfinished business. The first thing on the agenda today was banners update. Katie and Kyle are not able to be on, so we should probably keep this pretty short and sweet. There has been some discussion, and I certainly don't think it was Kyle's fault by any means, about the lettering on the banners being kind of difficult to read in certain times of day. At this point, there's not a lot we can do about it because we don't have the money to reprint them. I looked at the proofs and I don't think that there is any, we would not have known, in my opinion, from re-examining the proofs, that some of the lettering. Kyle did bring it to my attention. I think we need to maybe have a discussion when he's back on about a long-term plan of what banners need to be swapped out and replaced. But for now, without them, I don't know if there's much more to discuss on that front, unless anyone has anything they'd like to get on the record right now. Nothing? All in all, the design of the banners is really great. It's just there's some issues with the blue in particular and the purple are hard to read the black lettering at certain times of day. So we will move on that front for now. The next item on the agenda, brochures, bids for printing. I'm going to turn it over to Jen Jordan and she will share the bids.
Good morning. We got four bids for printing. Some of them a recommendation from Cass Patton, who has used some of these companies before. They're all pretty comparable and a lot less than we were thinking. The general consensus was 2,500 brochures would be plenty, at least for this order. The bids range from $350 to $689. 3 online companies at $350.16, $367.15, $409, and then 1 local printer in Denver at $689. But considerably less than I think we were anticipating. They're all exactly the same, 8.5 by 11 before folded, 100-pound glossy paper, 2,500 count. And I had a few, I had them proofs physical proof sent on order, so they should be here today. Hopefully that'll turn the tables, but I think they're all going to be pretty comparable. I'd like to get them ordered this week though, by the end of the week.
As a rule of thumb, we generally go with the least expensive bid, which I think you said was, sorry, I was writing.
350.16. And my only recommendation was there was one that's just $17 more, and that was a recommended company that has been used around before for that $17 difference. But either one is probably fine. They're both online.
I think the recommended company would probably be the better bet, especially after the debacle we went through with the banners.
That's my feeling. But
And what
I will leave it to you, but for that minor dollar amount, I would go with a company we've seen their work before personally, but.
What is the name of the company?
It's Print Runner, and I did send you an email with all of these on there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just sent it, not just
Okay.
you know, right?
So
Or resent it. It was in my draft box. But yes, it's called just Print Runner is the name, printrunner.com.
Okay. And how much is the bid?
$367.15.
$367.15. Okay. We had allocated $2,500 for this, so this is excellent news. That it's significantly less. And just kind of double checking on those bids. I'm trying to pull them up here. I see it right here. So Egan was $689. We worked with Egan before. Staples was $409. Print Runner's $367.15. Upprinting is $350.16. I mean, if you're good with Print Runner, Jen, that's probably what we'll do.
I'm comfortable with them. What?
Cass has used them.
Yeah, she gave me 4 recommendations. Only 2 of them did the trifolds that we were looking for. Print Runner was one of them. So yeah, she said they were good, and I trust her.
Cool.
I'll get those ordered.
Perfect. I just need a motion. Can I please have a motion to approve an expenditure of $367.15 for Print Runner to print 2,500 brochures to be sent to visitor centers across the state?
Can I ask a question? Oh,
Yes.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I stepped away. I apologize. These are just so that when it comes through and there's no question, even though I know it's a lower amount, these are folded. It includes shipping, that they're all ready for you to grab and go. I mean, that's not involved in that. Okay. Sorry, I'll second Paul's motion then.
So we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. All right. So yeah, go ahead and get those brochures done, Jen. And I know he's not on, but Kyle again did that design work pro bono, and we thank him very much for all he does for the town of Georgetown and the commission. So I know if you can hear us, Kyle, thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is visitor center brackets for banners. I'm gonna ask Paul about brackets for banners.
Hi, this was a discussion previously. But Visitor Center has 3 banner poles up. We paid for those ourselves because we just wanted to get started with promotion of events that are currently happening in Georgetown. And they are single-sided, so it's on one side of our light posts. And then the town has theirs printed. If the town wants us to, right now, we'll switch them out with the town. Sorry about the echo in here. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
Okay.
fine.
We'll switch them out with the town banners when when things aren't going on currently on those 3 poles. But in order to have the big town banners up all the time, we would just need to put up 3 more of the same poles that we put up, which I believe cost us we'll just say $300 for all 3, I think. I'd have to look back now, but in order to keep the banners up all the time, we would do the same. So they're double-sided poles. And that was something that the town was going to originally put up our I believe, put up the poles or put up the, the double poles for the banners for us.
The
The
bracket.
arms, the arms.
The arms.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I know Kent is out of town, so he's not here this morning. Do we know how much they are? I think my first question would be is if it's a town, I should back up, sorry. Is this town of Georgetown that would pay for it, or is it our budget that would pay for it? I think is kind of what we have to get to the bottom of. I think because they're light poles, my understanding would probably be town. Jen, I don't know if you could ask Mary.
They're privately owned light poles though.
Oh, okay.
The arms
In the
that are
parking lot.
missing, the arms that are missing on the poles, the town has been paying for replacement of those arms. But yeah, I think Paul's right. I think the distinct difference is these are privately owned poles, but an opportunity to promote
Yeah.
our message. So I think it would fall to us
Okay.
on those 3 poles.
No, that would make sense.
And I'm
Um,
happy to stay with status quo if you want to just table this. We're just taking them down and putting them up.
Well, I was gonna say if we could maybe have Jen Jordan work on a bid of what those things would look like, what the cost of those would be, just so we have a baseline of how much money we would need. And then we
Yeah.
could go from there as far as solving the issue. If everyone's good with that. Until we know how much it is. That will be.
Yeah, I didn't know this was on. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to the agenda. I'm sorry.
No worries, it's okay. I was a little stymied on it too, and that's totally on me, as I am the person that writes the agenda. So it was a carryover and I wanted to make sure we gave it the time we needed to. So we'll start with the bid. And so we'll have a bid and we'll table a discussion until we have a dollar amount of what we're looking at and then go from there for next month. And Kent will be on too, so he can give us a little guidance and maybe there can be a meet in the middle as far as cost goes, but okay.
Sure, and I will say that I will only use the ones that we have.
Okay,
So I can get you an exact cost.
perfect. Okay, awesome. That's good stuff. Okay, cool. We will move on to Manager of Marketing and Events Update. Go ahead, Jen.
Almost everything I have on my list is somewhere else on the agenda, so I'm not sure if we're gonna just chime in when you get there, but
That's good.
does that work?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything. The only thing on my agenda that I'm working on that isn't mentioned somewhere else in the agenda would be just the grants. The DOLA Main Street for Open Business Grant, still looking for brainstorming ideas for that grant. I will work with Cindy as well. We have, she's gone for a little bit, so, but this is a rolling grant, so we have a little bit of time. Obviously, we want to get in earlier rather than later. And I attend the webinars weekly just to see where the process is. They sent a really good one sheet on the, just one sheet brochure on sort of the overview of the grant that I can send out because I think it's good information that's really concise and kind of a long time coming, which they said when they sent it that it was a long time coming. And Cindy just sent me a whole bunch of other grants she is aware of as well. So I just received that yesterday and just sort of perusing those and seeing what makes sense for us. Other than that, I think everything else I can comment as we go.
Awesome. Does anyone have any feedback for Jen Jordan on the grants that she's mentioned? Just on a quick update, I know Cindy's not with us this morning, but on the subject of another grant, the furniture was ordered and I believe is expected to arrive by the end of this month. So the grant furniture that Cindy Neely helped us get for 6th Street in the Historic District should be arriving sooner, sometime this month. So we probably won't have it in time for prime leaf season, but it'll be here for some of our late fall events and Christmas market, which is a later discussion point. I'm trying to start sharing my screen. Go ahead, Paul.
Jen, what are the grants you're pursuing? I'm sorry.
It's called the Main Street Open for Business Grants.
Got it.
Through the-
Thank you.
Yeah. And I was just going to add one thing that isn't on there, and it's just a small thing, but in addition to the weekend of the Chili Fest and Fire Nice Chili Cook-Off and John Dunbar's Georgetown is what I meant to say. The Mustang Club has asked to return on that same weekend as well. Seems like a good thing for everybody. And they're looking for Saturday, which is the EMS Police Clear Creek Sponsorship Day. So weather permitting, they will also be here for that weekend. So that should be a good addition. Unless
What's the
anyone
date
has-
again?
Yeah. Jen,
September
I'm
9th.
sorry, Jen,
Yep,
what is the date of the Mustang Club?
it's September 9th is the day they have
October.
scheduled. But
It's October.
I'm sorry, we were doing this yesterday too. It's October. I blame Mary. It's October 9th and 10th. So they're planning on coming up October 9th. If for some reason the weather is poor on the 9th and it's better on the 10th, we extended the invitation for them to swap that out. But the 9th is what is planned.
Okay, so the only loose end potentially is them getting escorted into town, because typically over the last several years, it's been Marvin and myself. I need to look at my calendar, and I'll also need to check with Marvin.
Steve, I'll forward you. I know Marv is gone that weekend for sure, but I'll forward you
I'm sorry?
what he said. Marv is gone that
I'm sorry.
weekend.
So he's not in.
Correct.
Okay.
I spoke with him yesterday, but it doesn't sound like there's usual early morning. I'll forward you what Mark sent me that he said was sending out to the club as the plan. And it didn't sound like they were meeting at the chain. Anyway, we can work all of that out. We just finalized this yet, or tentatively said okay to this yesterday. So I'll loop you in on the details, Steve.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we should definitely say okay. We just have to figure out what we can do. So
Okay.
let me know how I can help.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll make sure that the October 9th gets added to the event calendar for the Mustang Club. So we can start promoting that. That's going to be a busy weekend in Georgetown. I would like to actually push the mission statement to the end. I did write one and I'd like to do a screen share, but I know that the 2022 budget discussion is going to be fairly lengthy and that's really important. And I don't want that to get cut short. So we'll push the mission statement to the end of the agenda. We can note that in the minutes. I should have amended that earlier. I apologize. But we will now get into, until the end of December. Sorry. Just to read for the chat, for the recording, the furniture will not be here until the end of December. I was mistaken. September, December, big difference, but it'll be here. So we'll have it for next summer. It'll be good. So we're going to push mission statement to the end and we can just do that discussion. But for now, we're going to do 2022 budget requests. And I am going to try and share my screen again. On the budget requests. So I have to have the information into Mary by the 3rd, which is Friday. She's going to get us a list of our revenues and our sales tax, as well as our business license fees. And I'm really sorry, Mary Smith, do you have that budget link that I'm trying to get it to open? It doesn't want to open.
Here,
Please.
let me get Mary to help.
Thanks.
She's
What
coming.
You mean the information that she gave us
Here.
last week?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get it to open and it's just spinning on my screen to do a screen share.
I'll probably resend it to you. Mary will come back on though, maybe.
One of the big things we need to discuss is what, if there's any line items that we need to make sure as far as events and planning go into the agenda. And if there's anything that has been overlooked in previous budgets that you would like to see in the budget. And obviously it doesn't mean that it's going to make it, but it means that it's something that should be on our radar. So while we are trying to get this to open, because my computer screen is just spinning my file. I'm sorry. I will open up to discussion with the commission, which is hard when I don't have a budget to put in front of you guys.
Did you, well, are you talking about that 10-page document she sent us?
That's what I was trying to open, but I guess that's probably not going to be good on a screen share.
Yeah, I mean, I can open it, but I'm not quite sure. There was nothing really bottom line on it that would be
The
easy for us to discuss.
sheets that I emailed over to you just had detail as far as what has been spent so far this year. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to put up for everybody, but I can't get the file to open. And so
Hold on, we're gonna try to get, are you looking for last year's budget? Or are you looking for the budget worksheet?
if you want to just put up the budget worksheet, we could do that.
Okay, I have to go over to my computer and get it and send it over. So
No
bear
worries.
with me for a second.
You don't want me to hold it up to the screen like
I
that?
can do that too. I actually could do that right now. That would be super effective of me.
Yeah, that itemized one is multiple pages, and I think it would be
Big
difficult to
For what I'm
digest.
trying to do, my little laptop doesn't.
She had this ready to send out and before to everybody. Wonder. I can just scan that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I opened it before the meeting started, and I obviously can't run both things. As far as events go that we need to plan for.
Do we want to go on to the next item maybe really quick and then come back to this once everyone either has a
That would
copy?
probably be a good idea since I'm sitting here. That is gonna be the Strauss Park tree. So I'm gonna let Jen do the Strauss Park tree while I'm getting the budget, and I apologize again, you guys. That was bad of me. Go ahead, Jen.
I'm not exactly sure what happened. What's happening with the, well, Strauss Park tree, it came down on Monday, as we know. The new tree will be up, as far as I know, tomorrow. I have, that's my last confirmed, was the new tree would be in. I know I have not spoken with Kent and Jen, maybe you know some of this, I'm not sure. I know there was some buzz that they didn't cut the cookies on site. They sent it somewhere in Empire to have it milled. So the pieces have not been distributed to my list from what I understand, but I haven't confirmed that, which is fine. I'm sure they weren't 100% sure of the condition of the tree when they cut it. So I'm still working on distributing those pieces to the people who had requested them. In addition to that, I don't know if I mentioned on the last meeting, but I received quite a few stories, interesting stories from people just letting me know what the tree meant to them, what their relationship was to the tree, and those stories came from all around the country. So I'm just developing like a brochure with a QR code or a flyer with a QR code. People can scan if they want to read those stories, just as an additional tribute to the tree and something to do with all the wonderful stories that I received. So that's what I know. I haven't heard anything differently from O'Brien Tree, that the new company isn't coming in with the tree tomorrow. So I think we should plan for that, but I'll follow up today. If anything changes, I will let everybody know.
Well, I know that everyone will be, oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Jen Yobieski. I know everyone will be very excited to see the new tree. It caused a lot of fervor on Facebook that the tree was gone. There was some very, very strong concerns that there was going to be like a Starbucks or some condos or something going into Strauss Park in place of the beloved tree. But thankfully, new tree will be in tomorrow and everyone is going to be okay.
I think
All
the stories and the QR code, especially if we can eventually place it down there by the tree, will be awesome for people to be able to read. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll try to
No.
figure out how I can do that in a way where it can just, stay there and not blow away or be ruined or whatever. I'll work on that in addition to the flyer aspect.
awesome. Jenna has the budget ready. Thank you so much for getting that for me, guys. I apologize again. Let's go ahead and start a screen share and go over all that fun stuff. Or if you want to send it to me, I can screen share. Hooray, thank you. Okay. So awesome. This is our current budget. Do you mind moving down just a tiny bit more just to the revenue? I'm sorry, I have to ask you to do that. Thank you so much. So what we need to focus on basically is media advertising down. That's the stuff that I have to put into the big asks, and that is going to be a part of these discussions. For media advertising, that does include our K-Goat ad, which the first question is if that's something, do we want to continue to do the K-Goat ad, or do we want to move away from that and look at different outlets of media advertising for 2022?
Well, this is Steve. I'm getting tired of listening to our 4th of July ad on KGO as recently as a few days ago.
And that's honestly, I've been CC'd on emails with Jen J, and she's working very, very diligently trying for the last month and a half to get KGO to update that ad. And they're not incredibly responsive. So at this point, I feel like maybe it's time for us to look at something different. And I'm sorry, I can't see everybody. So if you need to just talk, because I'm only seeing like half of you.
Yeah, it's just me speaking to that. I am at a loss at this point as to how to get them to respond. And initially they were super responsive. I've called, usually get a DJ who doesn't know anything about that. I did ask Jamie yesterday in our meeting, because she was going to place an ad if she were to get a human on the phone, to please let me know who that was. So maybe that's a way to move forward. But if anybody has any ideas, rather than taking it off on how to get that changed, I'm open to suggestions. But right now, I don't know what else to do short of storming the station.
At this point, if I can just get like a quick, yes or no consensus on getting rid of KGO and moving these funds to different plans. I'm just going to start from the top and go down. Kevin, KGO, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Mary Smith,
no,
Steve Skalski,
No.
Justin,
No.
Paul.
No.
Super. Okay. Bye, KGO. Okay. So we'll work on terminating the ad altogether, Jen. And if you want me to take that on, I can. If you want to send him one more email, please, and just let him know and CC me on that. And then we can escalate it further. So that gives us, this year we had $3,000 budgeted for media advertising. There has not been, Jen, maybe try emailing KGO about the ad. Yeah, the email, I'm not sure who is checking the emails. We got to find the human, but yes, we have to, we'll terminate the ad. Regardless, we're not getting a value out of it, even if we get somebody on the phone. It was a kind of a nice thing we did for a while. Partially not philanthropic, but it was to a degree. And I think at this point we need to address it. That was the only media advertising that I am aware of has been done for this year. There has not been any other media advertising. So that still leaves us with $1,800 left in the budget, which we could use for potentially doing something for Christmas market, which we have done in the past. I was the other day, I think for Kevin, you might recall, because you've been on the commission longer than me. Didn't we used to do a print ad for Christmas market?
We have, that was Matt
That's
Schmaltz lined it up for us, and it was a beautiful ad. I can't remember, but it was his connection, and we paid for it. We were very happy with the way it looked, and we did feel that it generated some interest and response.
It went into like the holiday section of a Denver-based publication.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, it was a bigger publication. It was a broader market than Clear Creek County. And so I think we need to focus on Front Range visitors. I think by now most people in the county know about Georgetown. And so I don't think spending it locally is the way to go. I think we need to hit the Front Range. So maybe if we can find a copy of that ad or ask Matt who that was, I'm sure he would remember.
Okay.
Maybe Jen, our marketing person, can just follow up with Matt on that and take care of that and get some information for us.
He's rock shop.
Yeah.
So for next year, do we want to leave the budget, the media advertising line item the same? Okay, consensus appears to be yes. Gas and electricity, we don't have control over this line. We actually, I learned just recently, we pay for the lights, or a portion of the lights rather, that light the mural on the water tower. So that is the contribution to that. That just has to stay the same. Brochures, we will not have to allocate any money to for 2022 because they've just been redone. We could leave a very small amount in there in the event we need to have another 1,000 or so printed. If 2,500 isn't going to cut it. But I feel like how long have we had the ones that are currently out there? They're like 4 years old, right? And we're still not out. Is that correct?
Many visitor centers still have some left.
Okay. So we don't need to allocate any money towards brochure distribution unless anybody feels differently. Speak now. Awesome. Okay. Distribution is going for the brochure distribution. So obviously we didn't spend nearly any of the $4,000 that was allocated for brochures. So Jen won't have an issue with the distribution. The next big thing is special events. So we allocate $10,000 towards special events. This expenditure date is through July. Is that correct, Jen? I just can't see the top. July 27th. So this does not have July's expenditures in them, nor does it have August expenditures in them, although we didn't have a lot of events in August, but 4th of July is probably not in here. I'm so sorry to ask you, Jen, do you mind scrolling back down to events? So $10,000 is what's been on the budget since I've been on the commission. I just copy and pasted this last year, and that generally we exhaust most of that money unless there's COVID. There's still people that are going to come ask us for money for this year. Bighorn Sheep is probably going to ask us for money. The Christmas market will probably, and they will ask us for money. And we also have some money allocated for, which I don't think is going to be used, for Buffalo Bill Days. I think that was previous expenditure that we would give to the train for advertising their, what they now call Railroad Days. Are there
Excuse
any?
me, Amanda.
Oh yeah, of course.
These figures are through June, not July.
Okay.
So it does not include anything for the 4th of July or anything. I will have, you've got the updated for July, but not in this format.
Yeah.
And I will have updated probably August. I'm hoping middle of next week that I will shoot over to you. I'll just email it over to you.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay.
So the question for the commission, are we good with $10,000 still for special events? That generally covers what we need it to. Is there anything additional that we've run into this year that we should try and budget for next year? Obviously, all the normal people who we budget for, Mountain Jams, the Slacker, the 4th of July, Memorial Day, all of that will be considered. But if there's something new or something we were not able to support, I would love to hear about it. So we budget for it.
I think there might be something to that our marketing and events director would be planning for next year that's doesn't have a name yet. And I'm not putting you on the spot, Jen, on this, but I would like to, allow for a new event to come on board, whatever that might be. And I just would like to remind everyone, maybe not specific to this particular budget, but when we put together the overall budget for 2021, we were basing it off of our 2020 revenues. We didn't know what the impact would have been from COVID. So obviously we have all seen, our sales tax generated that is skyrocketed. Thank you everyone who comes and spends money here. So yes, exactly. So we should, some of these will just bump up in cost just because, but I think we should be planning on maybe a little bit more even in each, for the events. So just
Absolutely.
my 2 cents. So
I totally agree. And Jen, you don't have to elaborate on what your event might look like necessarily, but is there, like a dollar amount that you would need for this event to exist?
Yes. That is my answer, but I don't know what that looks like. I know we're trying to get through the events of this year before moving to something bigger for next year. But if I can just have a short amount of time, I can probably figure that out relatively quickly.
Okay.
If that works. I just don't know off the top of my head.
That's totally fair. Paul, is there, and like for mountain jams, is the amount that we give sufficient? Is there, I see your hands up. I'm sorry. I didn't even know your hand was up till I called on you. I was scrolling up to you.
It's all good. I was going to say that, but Mary got it, which of course she did, that we didn't, all the invoicing isn't even in for mountain jam. So we invoice as we go. And no, it's not sufficient. If we want to do, every weekend, we're going to want to go into leave season and continue it further into September. We're going to need to probably on all of our budgets, just increase them. If you remember, my mountain jam budget in the beginning was double what we ended up with, which is fine because Rob was able to do that inexpensively, but we're done with mountain jams officially right now. And I'll get the exact numbers we spent in a minute, or not, for next meeting. And honestly, and going back to stuff like, I think 10,000 for special events isn't enough. I don't think that our media and advertising budget's high enough, to be honest.
That's great. No, this is the point of this discussion. So
we're spending far more on brochures, which are a 20th century technique, than we are on media and advertising. And I know that some of that media and advertising goes into professional services, but there are other outreaches that we can make, and one brochure, one run on, say, NPR could cost us $4,000. So, depending on how you work. But I think that Jen would be better in line for figuring that line item out, because she would be better. I'm sure that she started a marketing, I don't know, we've thrown her to the wolves. A marketing plan for next year for us, complete with full budgets and projections.
Absolutely. But no, I'm happy to take on figuring that out. Yeah, that works. I
just think they seem low. And then signage too. But I do think special events, we could at least half it more. But we have a budget. It's a budget is a budget is a budget. So
I don't disagree at all that we need to increase special events and media advertising. The good news is, again, we've got 2 big expenditures that have hit us, and this year, brochures obviously were not a big expenditure. We had a lot of money allocated for that. And for all intents and purposes, we're going to have $3,633 left over from that line. So, which is great. And I'm not gonna, we're not gonna spend it and make Mary crazy, but it's nice to know that it exists. And then the other piece of it too is we had not brochures, banners. Banners were budgeted for in the 2020 budget. That got behind. And I think if Mary, that's the signage line item, right, for 280797, right?
Correct. But you can also add another, I believe, somewhere around 4,400 for design that is not showing on this, that I had not received the bill as of June. So the updated budget sheet that I'll ship over to you for August, you have July somewhere, but it's going to be quite a bit more than what's shown here.
And then the miscellaneous expenditures, I know we went over that the other day. We generally don't put a ton into that budget. That's where you reclass things that you need to, correct, Mary?
Yes, and there were several items that were purchased. 200 is usually sufficient. It's the detail that I sent you and Mary. It has everything on there.
So we can leave that alone. So before we wrap up the budget discussion, we'll leave the 200 on miscellaneous events. So we'll let Jen Jordan do a media advertising and special event breakout budget for next year, and kind of get those line items organized and what the marketing plan would look like for 2022. I do have to have it in the first run on this by Friday, Jen, and we can talk. I'm not going anywhere, so I have lots of time. You can call me. And so we'll handle that. But if there's anything else that is being overlooked in the budget, now is the time to say it out loud so that we get it on the worksheet. Paul, do you have something else, or is that just your hand from previous?
I'm sorry, I'm acting like an old person. I have no idea. How am I?
You're fine.
I can't even, oh my God, today.
It's okay. It's okay. If you just yell at me if I'm ignoring you, and I'm just gonna pretend that your hand's not there. I just don't want to.
You're good.
Okay. Kevin,
all my settings are not on my machine. I don't know what I'm doing.
Kevin, Justin, Steve, everyone's good with budget. No issues.
Amanda,
go ahead.
If I could just say something, and I don't know if this is something that is going to be ongoing as far as Jen Jordan's position. I know you and I and Mary talked about it, but maybe some options so we can figure out how we can best fit that in for 2022.
Correct. Yeah, for sure. I'll have that done, but I'll do that.
And then, okay. And then the other item that I just thought of for miscellaneous, I know Jen Jordan and I spoke yesterday about her going to a conference. So you might want to increase miscellaneous if that, items like that are going to be in the future. I do need approval from you guys for this year for her to, I thought she was going to bring it up, that you will cover the costs if she does not get the scholarship.
Oh, for the CTO conference, is that what it is?
Yes, yes.
I'll know
I moved
tomorrow.
that we sent.
Just to throw it out there, I'll know tomorrow whether I got that scholarship or not. And I just figured we'd go from there on it. But
How much is
without
it if you
knowing.
don't get the scholarship?
Pardon?
How much is it if you don't get the scholarship?
That's the thing, and that's what Mary and I were talking about yesterday, is there's tons of different options if I don't get the scholarship. Like I cost for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, just this part only. So it varies hugely if I don't get the scholarship. So I assumed if I got the scholarship, then problem solved and I go to the whole thing. If I don't get the scholarship, then we just figure out what the best pieces for me to attend would be. Cass gave me some recommendations on that. And I know Paul knows too. So I figured we would go from there.
What
Okay,
would be
but-
the max amount of registration and where is it?
It's in Pueblo.
Ooh, exciting. Kevin
I
has,
said that like it was exciting, didn't I?
Hey, that's where I am right now.
I can pull it back up to see what that max cost is.
Just
Paul, do you know off the top of your head?
$2,000, 1,500,
No,
5,000.
nothing that high.
It costs about $1,000 to send someone there because,
For the whole time.
yeah, it's like $350 to go, but it's like 100 and something for 160 something for the room. And frankly, I don't know if Jen's up to it this year, which is fine. But it's like anything else when you do this, it's about the networking and more than, and then the classes make a big difference. These are good classes, believe me, they have great data shared with these things, but frequently it's about the networking and the contacts made. So usually I allocate about $1,000 to go.
well, obviously it sounds like it would be a beneficial thing, but let's get the costs first and we'll just add it onto our next agenda as a line item. But we will include, that's an awesome tip, Mary, for me when I'm finalizing everything to include, make sure that we include PD in some capacity on the budget for next year. So.
And then I would like to add that I think that, and I don't want to start booking Jen a bunch of travel, but if there are other things like this, I think that it would behoove us to send her. And I think that it would also be good if we could get her to start going to festivals around the state sometimes. I know that I would benefit from, I've never been to the Elk Festival, which is the big one that competes with the Sheep Festival. And it just gives us idea of what other counties are doing. And in some of those too, we could have a booth representing us. I know we tried that once and it kind of stunk, but it's just something to think about. I don't think that, I know that we don't have a huge budget and I wish we did because it needs to be padded if we're going to do what we want to do, especially from the feedback I get from community members all the time saying, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? And you know, it's amount of money and time. So we have a person who've allocated that, but in order to utilize that person, we may need to bump up some of these budgets, especially miscellaneous, media, and the three that I've met. Those three are the ones that feel the biggest to me personally.
And I can definitely look into some of those moving forward. I like that idea for sure.
And CTO has some grant opportunities that we might be able to take advantage of. And I know that you're working with Cass now, so, and Cindy, which is great. So, but we could get, you know, we probably should book up every weekend that Jen has it. She's not doing an event with us. She could be attending something somewhere obscure.
If I may just point something out, I mean, for 2021, your total revenues were just over 50,000 and your expenditures were 56. So there's not a whole lot. I mean, yes, we can take out the big line items from this year, and yes, your revenues probably will go up because of sales tax, but not, you know, I'd say under $5,000. So maybe if you kept your expenditures in line with where they're at now, then you're not digging into your fund balance. So just FYI.
Thank you. Aren't we getting Amazon revenues now?
Well, we get sales tax based on things that are shipped here from Amazon, and we get the sales tax for them, yes. And that is one of the big differences for our sales tax. Anything that's bought elsewhere they have to submit to us for sales tax.
So when we're looking at the sales tax sheet, Mary, which those are in town hall if you guys want to grab them. Is that the other line, the $31,364.29 that's on the sales tax sheet by month as of June?
I don't have mine. Let me go
Oh, you're
grab
okay.
one.
I can hold mine up really fast. Boop. This is called screen sharing, old school style.
Okay, the other the category that's other home,
Mhm.
that's any home-based business and out of, shipped in items sales tax.
Okay.
But that, like if like this new construction, if they buy appliances and have them delivered, we're getting that sales tax. So it's not just Amazon and whatnot.
Well,
Amazon's significant.
that's a good deal.
So and here, well, just on this subject, since very few of you come in to pick up these sales tax monthly sheets that are in your box, I can just as easily email them out to you mid-month if that's easier for you.
Yes, I don't use paper except for to write journals or letters.
Okay. I use paper for my calculations, but anyway, yes, I'd be more than happy to email these to you rather than putting them in your box.
Perfect. Before we move off the budget discussion, which was a really good discussion, does anyone else have anything that they would like to add into budget before we move on next? I'm seeing everyone's good. Okay. We will get our first breakdown into Mary by Friday, and we will continue to update. The budget will actually get approved in, is it November, Mary?
Hearing is end of November. Approval is first meeting in December.
So there's some time to make tweaks and stuff, but we'll start with the with our requests for 2022. The next item on the agenda, if we could promote Amy Lacrosse, that would be awesome. The Fire and Ice Chili Cook-Off is back. Do we have Jamie yet?
Hello.
We need to get rid of the screen share too, please.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jen. Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
Happy first Wednesday of the month, September 1st, whatever date is. Thanks for being with us today. We are excited to learn about the Fire and Ice Chili Cook-Off. So tell us what you know so far and how we can support you.
So I've been talking to, both Jens have been very helpful, and Diane Lee from the Sheriff's Department. So the first day of the Chili Cook-Off is First Responders Day, and it will be the Georgetown Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, Fire Department, EMTs, and she's also reached out to Evergreen, Idaho Springs, and a guy in Denver that she knows that's a part of their first responders unit, and trying to get them to join us for that day too, just to make it a fun, friendly competition. And all the proceeds for that will go to the Clear Creek Advocates on that day. And then on Sunday, it'll be Georgetown residents and businesses, Clear Creek County residents and businesses. And those proceeds will go to the library park. And we have the alcohol permit from Ms. Libby Kaplan. And so we're all good to go there. I just need to get event permits and, that thing that I'm working with Jennifer with, and I think we're pretty well set, other than volunteers and advertising and such, which we're working on.
Awesome. And so the times of the event are 11 to 3, correct? Okay.
11 to 3 or 4, depending on how it goes. Last time we were completely sold out at 2 o'clock. So
a lot of chili. It was a lot of chili. Awesome. Well, we're really excited, and I know you've been working with Jen Jordan and obviously Jen Y for the permit. And so if there's anything that you need from us as far as other support, like from a marketing standpoint or helping you promote it, we are super happy to be a part of it, and I think it's going to be great to have it back. So does anyone have any questions on the chili cook-off for Jamie? Redemption is coming. We're going to win again. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening to our meeting for an hour, and we are really excited to have your event back, and we will talk with you next month. I think it'll be right before, and that does coincide with the next item on the agenda. The chili cook-off also takes place during John Denver's Georgetown. So it's going to be, and then we'll have the Mustangs too. So that's going to be an amazing weekend here. It's going to be a great, and that's kind of probably the last decent-ish weekend of leaf season, even though we'll peak 10 days or so prior, we'll still have a lot of people coming. So, oh, I see Kevin making we won't peak. We will. The leaves will stay until November. I'm confused. For John Denver,
we can neither confirm nor deny our peak.
I know, right? It's true. We cannot. There is no science to it. For John Denver's Georgetown, I know I've been meeting with Jen J pretty much weekly and kind of going through the logistics of what is coming up for John Denver's Georgetown. Obviously, it's still kind of a little bit of an odd year on that front. Some of the things that we had done previously, I don't think we're going to be repeating. And so I wanted to just go through that for her to make sure we're all on the same page. In years past, we've shown the movie in the Heritage Center, and Paul, you said that that was not on the radar, which is totally fine. It's
a swing and a miss.
Yeah. One thing that we kind of floated yesterday, and I don't know logistically how it would be pulled off. Jen and I were talking about potentially using the screen, like finding a screen that we could maybe have on library stage and just have it playing there. And Mary, I'm sorry you were there too. Like, is that something that exists or is doable, Paul? Like if we had the movie just playing on a screen in the background.
And we were kind of thinking about just playing it without the sound in the background of whatever John Denver music we have going on library stage, just so the images are there without necessarily sitting down to watch the whole movie, but just having it run on a loop.
We might be able to do that. I don't know how. I mean, the reason we do it at the library stage, at our stage, is because we have a giant movie screen. And honestly, I don't know how I think that's the library's license. So, because we're the music license for this stage when we use Mountain Jams. We have a special promoter's license with the GCAP. But as far as that film, how would you do it though? So we'd have to, I would talk to Justin. We could talk to a guy named Courtney. Jamie might, or Justin or Jamie, one of you two, right, would know how to do something like that.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a fabulous idea, but we'd have to, the logistics, I don't know.
I know. I was like, could we do this? But I literally have no idea how to do this. Like I can barely.
I'll look into the logistics of it. We just floated that idea yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to go anywhere with it, but I'll see what I can find out.
It's fab. The library actually has a really good, and I don't know, I think it's theirs. I think they can play the movies wherever they want. They have a really good film because they don't charge. They have a really good film license. So, I mean, let's talk to Libby, find out what's going on. You can use me in any way you want, but I'm just an idiot. So on that kind of stuff anyway.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll work on getting that one figured out. The other thing that, because, and it is a good thing, with the chili cook-off existing, there won't be like vendors in Strauss Park or anything, which is totally fine, because Strauss Park will be lively and have a lot of action. The Busy Bee, Steve, if we could get the Busy Bee somewhere onto 6th Street, and I don't know if we want to put it down in front of the Hotel de Paris or in front of the post office. I don't think that we need to be picky about that unless someone has a strong opinion. Kevin, if you want it down by the hotel, or where the best space for the Busy Bee to be safe but still visible is.
Yeah, I welcome it. I welcome it in our stretch. And, we don't have parking spaces in front of the hotel. It's bus loading and unloading. And so it wouldn't block a space in front of a store. And I know that's an issue in other blocks along 6th Street. So yeah, I'd welcome it.
And I thought of it too, Mary, as I was saying this out loud. We will have a street closure on Saturday if the Mustangs are here. So that is, and we close both blocks for the Mustangs, right? So if it's Saturday, we'll have a street closure already. So maybe we can work on it going in front of the Hotel de Paris on one day, in front of the post office, maybe the day the Mustangs are here. Steve, is that feasible to get the Busy Bee out?
Yeah, I'll make sure I coordinate that.
Okay, perfect. And then the last piece of this that I was there's two more pieces on my notes from things we were relaying to Jen J. In years past, Kevin, wasn't there something from the Hotel de Paris? There was a broadcast with a gentleman.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again.
No.
But there's a guy who's a big John Denver fan, and he does programming.
That's
and
right.
We did a live broadcast, but we're not going to do that again. I also wanted to remind Jen that Silver Queen Walking Tours has a John Denver themed tour. And so that's something that can be mentioned that's, on brand. And then you yourself, Amanda, did I think a drink or an hors d'oeuvre special. And so
Yeah.
If Jen could reach out to restaurants and bars and suggest that they do a special based on the theme for that weekend, I think it adds to the atmosphere.
So that actually is a great segue to the last thing I was trying to remember, and no one seems to know where they are. I feel like it was a local resident, I think it was Jeff Hawks. He had those signs printed. Do you guys remember those? They were like the little corrugated board signs that were like on wire things, and there was like
they were realtor signs.
Yeah.
And that was Jeff Hawks.
Okay, so I remember the signs, and I remember that at one point in the early part of this event, which obviously I think this is going back to 18 or 19 since we didn't have it in 20, we put those signs in front of like big landmarks, like the cabin that John Denver stayed in, the Buckley Garage, the Hotel de Paris. But no one seems to know where the signs are and if they still exist. Obviously, we're not going to get new signs but if someone knows where the signs are, which that's the mystery. No one knows.
I think Marv Geisness has them. That's what I remember. No, that's not right.
Have them. No, I
I
already
asked him, I know Mary emailed him, and I saw him yesterday and asked him, and he only knows where the one for the Busy Bee is. But I'm still in the process of trying to track him down. I'm on it.
It might be one of those things that we can't really deal with this year, and we'll have the walking tour, and that's great. That's a super strong, cohesive way of commemorating the event, and in conjunction with the chili cook-off and the Mustangs, it will be an awesome weekend. And then music, somebody just put something in the chat. Mary, go ahead.
You don't want to read my chat? No, so someone about the signs, someone told me that they might be at the Heritage Center. Maybe Paul can shed some light on that. And then Marv also said he was going to check with Jeff Hawks, because he did say that Jeff had way too many signs than they could have used printed.
It was like, I think he had like 100 of them.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll
Nutty
turn.
on that.
But he also, he said, you know, he remembers bringing them up to the shed on the other side of the highway for town, you know, the town to store. Maybe they're at Old Missouri. So
They're not in the old Mo. I was in the old Mo 2 weeks ago. Or
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
I think Jen is going to take her own walking tour and go through all these places and try see.
They're not here.
Okay, I would talk to I would get in touch with Scott or whomever from Road and Bridge and the supervisor there and see what he might be able to.
If we can't find him, we can't find him. It's kind of like a last minute thought. If the signs exist, great. If they don't, oh well, we'll all get on with our lives. So we will. That is the least of our worries. But with everything else, kind of, you know, flowing and coming together really nicely, that should be a great weekend for sure. Does anyone else have anything on John Denver's Georgetown? And I want to point out, I said it right every time I said John Denver's Georgetown. I didn't say John Denver Days. So, yay me.
Yeah, so I have something. So Jen reached out to me yesterday about printing posters up. So I believe the last time we did this, the brewery absorbed the cost of the artwork and printing them. And if I remember correctly, I think we kind of sponsored it, but also I thought HGI in the town of Georgetown was on the posters as well. Anybody remember?
The only poster proof that I saw only had Guanella Pass on there. I didn't see.
The hotel was on there.
Hotel. Okay.
Yeah.
Was the hotel a sponsor in the artwork? Because I remember the hotel was in the artwork, but like the sponsored brand, the brand.
It was, yeah, I'm not at my desk today, and that's where I keep the poster out. But yeah, because that's when we were one of the key stops because of that broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess to make it just to cut to the chase. So I'm happy to get the posters printed, but we didn't collect any money in the past, and we put like the hotel on the logo on it, the town's logo, and I don't think we can really get a lot of sponsors on the poster because there's not enough real estate on the poster to do that. But it would be good to be able to offset costs this year if we can. So, I don't know, what people's budgets are, and I don't know if we want to maybe even solicit Cabin Creek if they want to participate. You have two breweries on there. You have the hotel. You have historic Georgetown, the town of Georgetown, kind of all on the bottom. We don't have to make a decision now, but that's kind of what I was going to tell Jen in responding to her.
Do we know what the cost would be? I think that if we can get a definitive breakdown of how many posters we need, I think that the goal the last time was to make them like a commemorative poster people could take with them. So
what I would recommend is, Gary Haynes printed the posters, or he prints posters for the brewery, and perhaps we get a quote from him depending upon how many you want to print, and we can give him the artwork. I don't even honestly remember if he printed them last time for us or if we did it elsewhere. So.
I remember him doing it. If we can just get a quote from Gary on that, and I think that this is, and obviously just my opinion, it's a slick poster. If we could maybe, instead of it being like printing enough for it to be like a commemorative event, maybe we print enough just for advertising in businesses, which would be probably significantly less than trying to print like 200. Like if we did, Paul's saying no, I'm wrong. That's okay. Tell me I'm wrong. Oh, okay.
I was nothing.
You're fine.
Multitasking. I was
You're
saying
good.
no to somebody else. Sorry.
Gotcha. So at any rate, anyway, let's get quotes on the printing and then we still have one more meeting and Jen can get that emailed out to everybody and we can have a discussion from there. Anything else on John Denver's Georgetown?
You just
Okay.
love saying that name correctly.
I'm really proud of myself. Congratulations, me. All right, next item on our agenda this morning, Bighorn Sheep Festival. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boat.
Hi, we're moving right along with the Bighorn Sheep Festival. There will be a few more additions to it. We started inviting Jen to the meetings. We're having another one, I believe, on the 22nd of September. I'll be out at philanthropy days, but I might attend. We're moving forward with some of the same things. The library is having all of their events, which would be the children's craft events and things like that outside. We haven't moved forward with music because we still don't have heat on the stage, things like that. We are adding a fun run this year. We're working on having Kevin, what's his name? The big giant animatronic.
Wilder.
Wilder, who was great last time. I don't know if you guys remember. And then the train runs their schedule longer. So we're doing pretty much status quo. We are adding back the nature hike, and I believe Kimberly Knox and her company will be helping us with that. Outdoor adventures. So I think that this year is going to be a really fun event. I'll have more for you probably next month, and we'll send around a recap email. So far, we're now asking for money. We might, because usually the trust, I have to find out what the budget's for advertising and things like that. We usually foot the bill for some things, and then we haven't really asked the town for a lot of money. So I may come back and ask for a little money to offset some of my costs and poster printing and things like that, or banner printing. It won't be significant. Also, if we can get music on the stage, it would be a great thing. But you never know with the weather. It could be really warm or it could be snowing. So, Mr. Kuharek.
What's the actual date again, just so we get it in the.
It's the second Saturday of November.
So that's the.
I think it's the 12th, but I'm not sure if you look.
That is the 13th.
13th. It's Saturday the 13th.
We'll also need some prizes for the photo contest. And so Jen, maybe we could offer this opportunity to businesses. You know, we're looking for things like gift certificates or even items. So, you know, there are a lot of new businesses that might want to raise their profile by participating. We typically have a first, second, and third prize, and it, you know, it could be a prize package of several items, or it could just be one big item. So we are looking for donations of prizes. Okay.
And there will be a business scavenger hunt and things like that. So it'd be great. I heard that maybe that the Rose Street Bed and Breakfast is going to be offering 50% discounts to people who are staying and participating, and free beer all day at the brewery. Is that right? I don't remember.
That offer is.
I think there's a lot of false news going around.
No, but in reality, that was fake for the record. That is not true. But it'll be a fun, beautiful day, and the brewery will be a great place to escape for the grown-ups who are trying to get away from all the fun from the kids. And the Rose Street Bed and Breakfast is a great place to stay while you're here. It's the wonderful B&B just up the street from all the activities. So thank you very much. I'm done.
Really quick, Paul, just one question. Do you guys use I can't remember. Honestly, I've never been here for Bighorn Sheep because we always are in Mexico that weekend. Probably not this year or last year. Sad face for me. Do we use the stalls? Like, do we Like, so is that something Jen should be working on?
Yeah, and that's what Jen's going to be told. I don't know if she's been given any of the background, and I think I need to meet with Jen before the meeting. And I've been trying to get the information from the previous person who did the stalls for us, and I haven't had a response back. So I don't know if I'm sending it to the wrong email address or something. We have done stalls in the past years, and we filled them up in the last year or so. It's a challenge to get people to do it, frankly. And so I was going to talk to Jen about whether or not we can make that happen. It's late date, but at the same time, November isn't the busiest date for a lot of these people who work these events. We usually give them the stalls gratis, I believe, but we'd have to figure out, how we can make that a thing. I know one local guy will do it all the time for us. The wildlife department always has a stall. You're right. I need to ask for that. Wildlife department always has a stall. Takes up a couple. I know in the past, just to fill it in, the visitor center has done a what do we call those? Market,
Pop-up
pop-up
shop.
pop-up shop there, and we might be able to get some of the businesses, the newer businesses, to do pop-ups. I'm not sure because they're right around the area. But yeah, you're right. We do need the stalls and the electricity for that event. We have a permanent fire permit. We have
We can have a fire pit that weekend.
we always do.
Oh,
I just need to get
we do s'mores.
We do s'mores as a rule. We're trying to work on how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're going to do maybe a s'mores package and just hand them to people. So it's a little more work, but the big things with town, fire permit, which exists. If we decide to do music, we have a month out to do that. And the use of the stalls. We don't close the street down. So we're good on that one. And everything else, the town, because we're a partner in it, I think that's why we have the permanent permit.
Okay.
And we typically need somebody to dress up as Albert, if anybody has a fantasy of dressing up as a Furby.
And Albert has to be like 5 feet tallish, maybe 5'6", 7.
Okay.
And can't be full sized like some of us.
All right. There was a note in the chat that should be put into the record to make sure that whoever's in the stalls collects sales tax that weekend. So that's a big deal. And Jen Jordan, that's been an issue in the past, is sometimes we have these people that sneak in on these types of events and they just like sneak out and we never get sales tax from them. So
there's a town form.
Yeah, there's a town. So there's something to be aware of. All right, well, so that we will continue to keep Bighorn Sheep on the agenda until it's not here anymore and update accordingly. But that's really exciting and something we can all look forward to occurring again this year. Next item on the agenda, and it's super weird to think about, but it's going to be here before we know it, is tree lighting. The new tree, as it was discussed earlier, will be going in tomorrow. So we can all take a breath and relax that town of Georgetown is not a barren wasteland now with a treeless void. There will be a beautiful tree that was selected and is going to be transplanted tomorrow morning. So there will be a tree lighting ceremony. Tree lighting ceremony, as everybody's aware, takes place the first Saturday after Thanksgiving, and that is November 27th. We kind of debriefed Jen on some of the issues with last year's tree lighting, which obviously stemmed from the fact that we were attempting to do it virtually, and it was our previous events coordinator, like third day on the job, and she did an amazing job, all things considered, but there was a couple issues. So as far as like the organization of tree lighting, Jen is already starting to work on that. Is there any feedback from the commission for Jen Jordan on things that need to happen to make this event successful and charming, as it always is?
Well, so presumably it's not going to be virtual. It's going to be a live event, correct?
That is the hope. I mean, obviously we can't predict what's happening with everything, but I would anticipate it's going to be an in-person event. And if history repeats itself, it will be like negative 27 degrees with a
Yeah,
wind
and
negative 80.
Speaking of that, I don't really know how it's worked in the past. I've just seen it work in the past, and you know, assuming there's no fire ban, there should be a big fire going and lots of wood to keep people warm.
Or there's also beer. That works good too.
Yeah, warm on the inside, warm on the outside.
Correct. So it's the logistics for tree lighting, it's pretty much like a locals event. I mean, if the train is running, which I am not clear at this point, and if they've started selling Christmas train tickets yet, they hadn't when I looked a couple days ago. If the train's running, you might have some, go ahead, Jen.
When I was speaking with Dee, the general manager, I did ask her that question, and she said they are 100% will run the train.
Oh, okay, cool. That is good to know. So with the train running, that means that there will be a fair amount of tourists in town. So if you want me to help you facilitate a conversation with the school as far as the kids singing, that's usually something that happens. There's like the kids like sing Christmas carols. And then in the past, it was usually Troya's and Happy Cooker. Obviously, it won't be Troya's this year, but maybe talk to 511 about doing hot chocolate and hot apple cider in the park. And that's pretty much it. I mean, and the tree will get lit, not when it's supposed to, and nobody will be looking at it. And then everybody will go home because they're cold. But the live stream is great. And it's honestly a really cute event. It's a super awesome, very, very fun kickoff to our holiday season. And town is beautiful when it's all decorated. It's so, so pretty. So yeah, that's pretty much it on tree lighting, unless I forgot something. All right, moving right along. In addition to tree lighting, the other very important thing that comes every December is Christmas market. And so that's going to be on our agenda for the next 4 months as we ramp up for that. Obviously, it didn't happen last year, and it was a huge void for the town, and we were all really upset, but it was for obvious reasons. Mary, why don't you switch hats and put on your HGI hat and tell us what we can anticipate for this year's Christmas market?
Same old. No. So Christmas market is the first 2 weekends in December, Saturday and Sunday. Just so that everybody's back on their feet, we're not anticipating trying to extend it to Friday. There was mixed comments and conversations about that last year. However, we were ready to move ahead in some way, shape, or form. I've heard back from some vendors that are kind of glad that we're not doing it on Friday because they're committed or they don't have the manpower to do it. But I mean, they're there Saturday and Sunday. We do still have a few vendor stalls available in case anyone hears of anyone who might be interested. They can get in touch with me or HGI and we can give them the information. Typically our merchants help out a little bit financially. HGI puts out a request for merchant support.
No parking.
And that helps offset the entertainment, which is held at the community center. Last year, we were planning on all of the entertainment being outside on Library Stage, and we had gotten the entertainers to commit to that. And that was obviously more due to COVID, but I know we've always heard year after year that it's much more lively when we can have outdoor activities as opposed to people who don't know that things are going on at the community center, in spite of all the signs that we put up. I do know, Paul can jump in, that the Heritage Center isn't going to be as involved as the past couple of years, which is fine. Are you not hearing me, Paul? Oh, he's gone. And Horse and Wagon is coming. The Prospector / Roundabout bus will be providing free shuttle service. Hopefully the restrooms will be, the permanent ones will be completed by then. However, I do know that HGI will still be coming to this Commission requesting some financial support, which will help offset the increased price of the shuttle this year. And now my dogs are barking and that's all I got.
Jen Jordan is now attending the Christmas market planning meetings, I believe.
She will be at next one we have in another week or so. Yep, she's going to be hooked in.
Awesome. And so one of the things, and I know we did talk about it earlier, and we will follow up on it next meeting, is if we want to revive the ad that Matt kind of pursued for us a few years ago and see what the cost of that would look like as a support of Christmas market. And obviously, I think it will be an amazing market because people will be really excited and looking forward to coming back to Georgetown for a tradition. So Mary, is this going to be the 60th? Because there wasn't a 60th last year.
No, last year was supposed to be the 61st. So this is the 61st.2.
So 61st. I'm sorry, I was off.
Kind of, yeah, we're still working on 61.
Okay,
So
it's the 61st annual Christmas market. Okay, awesome. Does anyone have any feedback on Christmas market before we move to the next?
I'm going to throw this out there just to get everybody's hair raised. Last year, and with the anticipation, unless anything changes, food trucks are always a big thing, and so we will probably try to find some supplemental food in addition to the brat booth from the Georgetown Community School at the vendor or in the stalls, and in addition to the community center, because we don't have luchas, because 511 has a little bit smaller seating. We don't have a lot of good food places in close proximity, so we might be looking at trying to bring in a food truck somewhere in the general vicinity.
Hopefully there's a new restaurant.
I'm kind of hoping Steve would jump in and say that and say, oh, no,
December.
Control. Steve, you're on.
Yeah, I'm not going to jinx anything, so just keep talking.
Fair enough. All right. Well, looking forward to an amazing market. Let us know how we can support you, Mary, from an HGI standpoint, and we are very excited. The next item.
Mary, Mary, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
FYI. What we will do probably at the brewery, since we're in very close proximity to everything, is we'll be selling pizza probably out on our patio and having a streamlined system just so that people can get fed if they're really hungry and get something to drink.
And I know 2 years ago you had, a caterer out there with brats or some kind of hot sandwiches too. And I think that was great. So if that's going to be a part of it, we'd certainly like to know. We'd much rather have all the money come directly to our own people. But we need to feed the crowds. So.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to do the same thing, just probably with our food, but we'll do it outside so that we can have a streamlined way of feeding more people that, versus them coming in, sitting down, and being in the brewery. They can just get a quick bite and a quick drink.
Okay.
I will also throw out that if anyone is really passionate about slinging bratwurst, you do not have to be a Georgetown Community School parent to volunteer at the Georgetown Community School brat booth. Just saying. No, the brats are good. Come help cook brats. Come help sell brats. It's going to be a good Christmas market. Very exciting. Because I don't want to cut anybody off. Anything else on Christmas market? Are we good? Okay. Kevin, the next item on the agenda, these are a couple things that you asked us to add on. So the first topic was street lamps.
Yeah, I didn't know that Kent was going to be away, and so these were questions I was posing that I think only he can answer. But a few months ago, I did an inventory of the reproduction street lamps that are along 6th Street and then slightly off of 6th Street on Taos and on Rose, and did a condition assessment of those. It came to my attention that some of them have wiring that's sticking out that could be unsafe, accessible to children or visitors, pets. Some of the street lamps are on 24 hours a day, costing the town money. Some of them are missing glass panels. Some of them have like what look like household light bulbs in them instead of the, the authorized or approved street lamps that we all voted on. And then a lot of them are rusty. Okay, folks, I'm sorry. I have to go. Sorry. Paul, I think, can you pick it up from here? Paul?
No
Sorry.
problem. Kevin.
I got
We'll figure
a
it
family emergency.
I can't pick that up, but
You're okay.
okay, go.
We will table street lamps until the next meeting, but they are looking not so great, it sounds like, and they need some attention. So we will, when Kent's on, we can have a further discussion on street lamps. Anything else before we move on?
He's mostly interested in cleanliness and consistency.
Rightfully so. No, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll table that till the next meeting. And I apologize. I need to address something in the chat I did not see. And that was from in regards to tree lighting. So we'll circle back on a second. Jen Yovieski typed that tree lighting is usually planned by Parks and Rec. I did not know that because it was for some reason us last year. So I will follow up with, who's the chair of Parks and Rec right now? Is that Beth?
No, it's Steve Calabani, and Mary
Oh.
had written that in the chat. Yeah.
For some reason it was us last year and I had no idea that it was Parks and Recs. So if they are going to plan it, and we'll just support it, but I can follow up with Steve and just double check what they want us to do, if anything. And Jen and I can.
Yeah, and Mary maybe too, Sims.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's I had no idea because last year, I don't know why we did it, but that's all good. We will happily figure that out. So I apologize. I just want to make sure that was on the record. I did not see that in the chat and I did not mean to overlook that. The next item on the agenda, and I'm gonna, Paul, I don't know if you can help with this one or not, was the mural on the water tank. That was also something Kevin wanted on the agenda. I mean, it's,
Sorry, we haven't talked about that, so I'm not sure.
no worries. I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that it needs a little attention. It's looking.
Yeah, that would be what Kevin would be talking about.
I can assume, but
Yeah.
So we can also table that until the next meeting. And then the last item that he had asked on the agenda, but town clerk, excuse me, why did I say town clerk, Jen Y also sent us an email about it, and that was the Alpine hose bell. And I'm just going to pull up the email that I got from Jen. And the email just basically says, I talked to Fire Chief Baby and he called me after seeing the Alpine hose bell tower on the BPC agenda. He wanted you all to know that he's aware the bell is broken and not ringing, and he's in the process of getting it repaired. I know that Mary, you had a couple things potentially about Alpine hose that you wanted to maybe discuss. So we know the bell is not working. So that sounds like it's being addressed.
I know that, HGI interprets through tours the Alpine hose and hasn't been able to do that this summer for a lot of reasons, mainly falling on the fire authority is my understanding. But I did check the town budget as far as, the money that's allocated for maintenance. And it appears that if there's a problem with the bell specifically, which I know is important to the community, that there should be some funds available if we can coordinate that, if we, the town, can coordinate that through the fire authority to have that repaired. I know sometimes it's just a matter of programming. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Unfortunately, it hasn't been open to the public this summer. And at this point, September 1st, I'm not quite sure there's much push to do that. I mean, it would be nice if
has anybody assessed what the issue might be with the bell? The reason why I simply ask is because Mark Reynolds seemed to think that maybe it was a matter of someone turning it off when they were putting the flag up for the 4th of July, and they didn't turn it back on because they didn't want it ringing while they were while the fire department was installing the flag. But I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, and I thought it was working earlier in the summer too. So I'm glad to hear you say that, Steve. I just want to make that assumption, and I know that's wrong, but that it could be a very simple fix. But that needs to be coordinated through the fire authority, and I don't know whose responsibility that is to make that contact. I believe that should come through the town, or whomever. So
what would be the action item by who at this point, just to follow up, just to see if it's a simple fix?
Let's put that on Kent's plate when he returns next week, and I'd be more than happy to shoot him an email, and I'm sure he's checking his email, but I'm sure he can add that to it and see what needs to be done.
Yeah, because there seem to be people who are familiar with the setup. They said, "Oh yeah, all we got to do is do this or do that." The clock should be. They thought the clock and the timer should still be working. There's just a shut-off switch that doesn't activate the bell and just would need to be turned back on or something.
So we'll try to unmute it. How's that?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I'll send a email to Kent. We'll start that.
Okay. So at this point, the Alpine hose is not really an actionable item for us. So we can, but it was a good add on the agenda, and it was a good catch by Kevin. I'm going to circle back to the mission statement. I'm going to try and share my screen here. Why am I so challenged on screen sharing? I don't understand. It's really awesome. All right, not that, but this. Can you guys see this or no? No, you can't, because I'm apparently I'm challenged. Okay, there it is. Let's do that. Okay, now, can you actually see my screen, or is it just a list of the music I've been listening to? Okay, I'm gonna just read what I wrote. How does that sound? Oh wait, can you see it? Okay, hooray. Why am I so challenged on this? I have no idea. This is a very basic overview of the mission statement. I was keeping it very short and simple. I realize it needs expansion and it is so not complete. I went back through the emails and feedback that I had from different commission members who wrote me, and this was kind of just the very basic overview. There will be absolutely no hurt feelings if this needs to be torn apart. This was just the bare bones beginning of this conversation. I will give everybody a minute to read it. Steve, do I need to read it to you since you're on your phone? I realized you can't read it. Okay.
Is there a deadline for edits?
Whenever we get it done.
Okay.
It's not, this is kind of a fluid thing. I will email this to you guys. If you guys want to take stabs at editing it offline, I'm totally fine with that. It was a very, very basic thing that just again, I will not be offended if we need to tear it apart. And Steve, I can email it to you as well if you want to look at it. Jen.
Please, thanks.
Pardon? Okay. So at this point, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of discussion surrounding this, which I guess is a good thing. No one's like, oh, that's revolting. And if it is, and you don't want to say it online, it's all good. I'll email it to you guys so you can take edits at it and send it back to me, and we'll just continue to work on it. I would like to have it finalized maybe by the November meeting for sure, so it can go into our 2022 mission and marketing materials, as well as our welcome packet, which the welcome packet, Jen Jordan is working on just a brand new one at this point to kind of update everyone on that. So I will stop my screen share there and I will just email that to everybody. That is the agenda for today. I did want to mention one thing. I wanted to talk about the lake advertising thing board. What is it? What is it called? Kiosk. I don't know what that thing is. But Jen Jordan's been using that and putting up marketing materials down there. So that's awesome. So I kind of forgot it existed until I would like walk by it. And I'm like, man, we should use that more. And then I would forget until I walked around the lake again. I'm like, man, we should use that more. So that's awesome. So that's another great outreach piece for us. We have obviously a ton of lake-based tourism and we're getting a lot of things in front of people. So keep that in mind for printed materials and things like that. Sorry, obviously the infirmary is up. And I don't have anything else on the agenda. Before we move on to minutes approval, does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I had my addition.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, thank you. I'm the worst about that. Go ahead.
No, it's an addition. We have, so it looks like, and it'll probably change a little bit. We have about, with donations and Rob's changing the structure of Mountain Jams and then Rob's ability to get affordable acts this year. It looks like we might have about $1,800 left, probably 15 in the budget for Mountain Jams with all of our commitments. On Saturday, the 18th of September, we have at the GCAP lined up in hopes of using Mountain Jams in partnership with us, Folklorico Ballet, which is a Hispanic dance group, specifically Mexican. It falls in line with the Mexican Independence Day and also the kickoff to Hispanic Heritage Month. In our mission as the GCAP, it is part of a larger expansion of the interpretation of the Georgetown Silver Blue National Historic Landmark District and all of the different people and contributors who were here during that period of mining and prior and part of in lieu of in just shifting that focus. As far as that day, it would be a mariachi band that we've already had offered that's been sponsored by Sweet Easy. And they will play for an hour and a half and then the dance group, and that will be on Library Stage and in Library Park. There are two things with that. We thought that because of library, maybe it's my mother-in-law. Hi, Marcia. Library Stage. Anyway, Library Park. So they'll be taking up all of Library Park. There is one logistical issue in that, and I've spoken with Jen, but I haven't spoken to Kent yet, but I thought I'd put it in front of this group. Because Library Park is being used, all of the spectators will have to be on the sidewalk and they may spill out into the street. It would only be for a short performance, which is like a half an hour, because it's a dance troupe. So I'm not sure how we would handle that, whether it would just be directing traffic for about 5 minutes around people, or just, we already know how people crowd the streets there. It's on a Saturday. The other thing is that putting it into Mountain Jams, I just wanted to get permission from everybody on this group. I'm going to get permission from everybody on the other group that's involved, the library friends, to use that rest of that money to see if I can get more programming going on. If there's programming for town for music, and see if I won't need Rob for this one, but to see if we can use the rest of that Mountain Jams fund, to pull ourselves into leaf season and to do this event as partners with the trust or the GCAP, which we already are on that one.
I mean,
did that make sense?
Yes. But okay. I mean, the money is Mountain Jam's money at this point. It's allocated.
Yeah, it's been allocated. Yeah, it's been voted on and allocated. I just wanted to get a basic consensus.
Got it. Okay, because I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't think we would need to vote on that since the money already exists and it's for cultural arts programming. And that's your discussion, is my interpretation.
Yeah, I just think it'd be a pretty cool event and kicks off a good thing. And Mexicans were integral in silver mining and practices in Colorado, and we have an Hispanic population. We always have, and obviously Colorado, and so it's something that we thought we would bring into the interpretation level. Plus, it's way cool. So there's that.
I mean, it sounds amazing. I think the only thing logistically that you guys need to work out is the street piece.
Yeah, that's the other part. So if we're all in agreement on being part of it and the Mountain Gems, if I do my job and maybe Jen would help me easier and getting that component taken care of.
I mean, yeah, because the money is already allocated. And it sounds super cool. It sounds like a really, really like just awesome sort of event that would really, that's a big weekend here. So it's going to be very vibrant. I'm excited to see it. Actually, I probably won't be able to see it. I'll probably be at work, but I'll be excited to see a video of it.
And then we'll try to get a couple more events in.
Yeah, no, and I think that's awesome to, if we can extend as much as possible of the Mountain Jams programming into the fall, it really enhances the whole vibe on 6th Street as the leaf season tourists appear. And it gives a very cool vibrancy and atmosphere to the historic district. So yeah, I'm all about continuing programming if the funds are available, for sure. And I mean, obviously, if there's a nod from the rest of the commission, we don't need to vote, but a thumbs up or a yes. Yes? Okay, awesome. Mary, go ahead. You're muted though. Are you muted?
Paul?
Yeah.
Could Jen live stream that when that occurs and publish it on our social media? Is there a licensing thing or even a part of it just so that it's one more thing that shows how vibrant and exciting and everything that Georgetown is?
So one of the things I'm working on, and I have this fancy new YouTube streaming system with the Georgetown Heritage Center, and it's portable. I worry about bringing it to that stage in a weird weather time, but if I can get an engineer for that weekend and figure out how to transport it, Justin or Courtney or someone, and figure out how to transport it, that would be something that we could definitely do. And we could do it under the Heritage Center's YouTube page, since we already have one. We could do it as a live stream. I don't know how long I'm allowed to keep it up, because I do know that some artists, there's a whole new thing because of all the streaming that's been going on, where artists don't want their work in perpetuity out there, because they're not being paid, for you're paying for one concert, and essentially you're giving them a concert forever. But I could talk about that, could stay on our stage. We could also use that anyway, our whole programming is designed to create more draw for the town. So yes, that's a discussion on my level, at the GCAP level, and I'm trying to work on the logistics of that. So there's your very long yes-ish.
And that's great, but even something that, and I get that it's not going to be there, I'll say forever, you can say in perpetuity. I can't even pronounce it right now. But even like if we could keep a minute or two of it, so that it would be something that we could add to our repertoire when you're looking at Visit Georgetown. My other question is, if in the event of poor weather, does that show move to the Heritage Center?
We haven't discussed that yet. Usually our force majeure doesn't have built-in rain dates. So the force majeure is that's a contractual thing that you have in there. So anything basically that's a major force that's out of your control, like weather or pandemic or all those things. And literally we had to use that in 2020 to cancel all of our concerts and things here. So I don't have a rain date. I don't have a secondary thing. I don't know that it would move to the Heritage Center. And I'm very concerned about that, because right now we have a rule in place for all inside concerts to be, right now we're limiting in case the county goes for it. And we're also requiring vaccination to come to a concert at the Georgetown Heritage Center. So logistically, I think that's too much, frankly. But as far as all of us live, and another thing I would recommend is, even if we are doing professional live stream for this event, that anybody with a cell phone stand there and put it on their own Insta, TikTok, Facebook. If you have a channel, you put it on the channel, and then we can always keep a clip. People never have a trouble with an advertising clip. It's good for them. It's good for us. So I don't think the town has a YouTube page, but I know that we have Insta, so we could always get that put up.
Thanks.
Sure.
Well, we'll be excited to hear about the other additional programming as well as this event just on GCAP is putting it on. So I say it right.
Well, now, if I get the permission of the Friends of the Library, it will be the Mountain Jams and the partnership of Georgetown Cultural Arts Program, the Town of Georgetown Business Promotions Commission, and the Friends of the Georgetown Library.
Perfect.
With special sponsorship from, and if you see Lynette in the street, she really did us a solid. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. So that's exciting, and that will definitely be a cool thing for people to see. Anything else that I omitted or overlooked before we do the minutes? All right. I did not have any amendments to the minutes. Does anyone else have anything on the minutes that I did not see or that they want to have added or adjusted? Okay. Awesome. Can I please get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. It is 9:54 a.m. and I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Awesome. Thank you. Good meeting, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll look forward to that great event. And yeah, we'll talk in a month. Well, we'll talk before that, but see everybody in a month. And thanks again for all your support. I'll get that mission statement emailed out shortly.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you.